In this episode of In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. What a treat. Cris Collinsworth. Yes, that's who I'm talking about. Cris Collinsworth of Sunday Night Football fame. This guy is a high level of entertainment value. There's no question about it. He's got a lot of great things to say about his playoff experiences, what this Cincinnati Bengal football team needs to do to advance in their playoff opportunity. He knows a lot, obviously, about the Las Vegas Raiders, and he has very interesting things to say about this matchup. I think you're going to like it, and I think you're going to laugh a little bit. I know I did. Welcome once again to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, and we're in our outstanding studios, as always, and it's time to check in with a legend, an icon, the best, Cris Collinsworth in the house. What up, CC?
Just means roll, brother. That's all that means.
Oh, how about this football team? What about them Bengals, man? What about Joe Burrow? What about this offense? It's crazy, isn't it?
You know, I'm really excited for them. I can remember it was my rookie year when we went off to the Super Bowl for the first time, and don't think anybody was really expecting us to do a whole lot that year. And I know what they're going through. I know what the buzz is in town and the excitement level. I was kind of somewhere hoping that we might get the game, and then at the same time hoping we didn't get the game, because I know how it is when you announce Bengals games. People get mad. They expect loyalty out of me. And I'm like, I'm just calling the game. I hope they win. They haven't won a whole lot on Sunday night, so sometimes it gets hard. But I think they've got the ability to win this game, obviously. And then you get within two of going to the Super Bowl, and really anything can happen. And as you look at it, I mean, who is it in the AFC that just scares you? I mean, I think most people would say Kansas City, and they've already beaten them once. So it's just an exciting time. I don't think that many teams out there, the Bengals would be willing to trade their skill position group for anybody else's. You know, you could say, all right, yeah, you got, well, what about Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill or Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams? Yeah, but they aren't young, and they aren't on first contracts, and they don't give you the ability to sign other people on the football team. And, you know, weird things happen in the NFL. And when young players like this start playing like veterans, which is what we're seeing in big moments now out of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, you know, right? Uzama has had some games. T. Higgins has had some games. Tyler Boyd, you know, Mixon. I mean, that group of people, they can play. I mean, you look around. I'm not trading those guys for anything.
I agree. I mean, that's a three-headed monster there. I mean, I look at our 1981 Super Bowl team. Like you said, you're a rookie. You came in and you gave us that over-the-top explosiveness, big play. I mean, you had a huge impact on the football team, on the community, in everything. Jamar Chase comes in and I mean, sets a record in his rookie year, single-season record for the franchise, most ever in history, and big play explosiveness. I see some parallels. Compare and contrast Cris Collinsworth, the player, Jamar Chase, the player.
I'm getting ready to give you a drug test if you're trying to compare me to this kid. Jamar Chase is in another league. I mean, he's unreal. I mean, I was a good player. You know, I could run.
You're a hell of a player.
You know, but this kid's different. I mean, you know, this is something we haven't seen. This is Odell-like. You know, this is Justin Jefferson. You know, we've only seen a handful of guys come in the game and just look like they're playing at a different level than everybody else. Plus, it stacks the deck against those other guys, because now you've got to double team Jamar Chase. We've seen him take away or take out Marlon Humphrey. We've seen him take out some of the really top players in the National Football League and just continue to make plays. You're going to leave him one-on-one. You take your life own hands. You really do, which limits some of the blitzing that people can do against you. It limits what kind of fronts they can play against you. It's a different deal, and you can feel the built-in link that is Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I mean, those two guys, they've done it in college. They've done it at the highest level in college. The PFF had them as like the greatest deep combination that we've ever seen since we've been doing college football, which is over the past, whatever it was, 6 years, something like that. They are that good. They are just that good. And these other guys are not far behind. And so if you can get it protected, and that's going to be the key. I mean, you're going to see Yannick Ngakoue, you're going to see Maxx Crosby. I mean, these guys are legitimate pass rushers.
Right.
And the Achilles heel of the Bengals is how well can they get it protected? We had Anthony Munoz on that team in 81 and Dave Lapham, and we had guys that could block up front. I mean, we just did Moon Pie. I mean, we had guys that were legitimate. Yeah, Maxx. I mean, it was really a good football team.
Yep, no doubt. All right, so we talked about him, Joe Burrow, in 1981, Super Bowl 16 year. A guy named Ken Anderson got MVP of the league and led us to the Super Bowl and advanced in the playoffs. 1988, Super Bowl 23 season. A guy named Boomer Esiason gets MVP, advances the team to the Super Bowl through the playoffs. Joe Burrow is not necessarily going to be named MVP, but he's in the conversation and he's playing like an MVP. He's playing at an unbelievable level. Do you think Joe Burrow could advance this team to the Super Bowl like Ken Anderson and Boomer Esiason did?
Yeah, I think he's playing at that level. I really do. I don't necessarily think he's going to win the MVP.
Right.
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to win it, and Tom Brady probably is going to finish second.
Yeah.
But as far as just what a single player has meant to this franchise, he's brought what Boomer brought in here. I mean, Boomer was that sort of swagger, confident, don't tell me what we can't do, kind of guy. Kenny really wasn't that. Kenny's not that type of personality. Right. He was just a great player. He was one of the most accurate quarterbacks to this day that I've ever seen in my life. Maybe Joe Montana in that same class, but as far as just putting the ball where he was trying to throw it, Kenny was the best I've ever seen doing that.
Agreed.
But Burrow, this cigar smoking son of a gun is, he's different. He's more in that Boomer class, but he does it without, offending anybody. He does it without. He just believes, and I think when he believes, everybody else believes.
From your observation of this Bengals football team, is the defense good enough to carry it through the playoffs and take them to the Super Bowl?
My gut feeling is they're a year away. I think that I think that they can be. My bigger concern obviously would be with the protection. I think this defense could be living up to that. But I don't know. It's so hard to compare them to teams like the Tampa Bay Bucks and the Kansas City Chiefs, guys and teams that we've seen in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But we've also seen the Kansas City Chiefs defense be horrible at times this year, right? So on any given day, can this Bengals defense step up and play the way they did, against the Ravens or against the Steelers or, and I mean, the whole paradigm shift of seeing the Bengals go 4-0 against those two teams, it's startling in some way. And so they didn't just do it with Joe Burrow and the receiving core that they have. They did it because they can play on the defensive side of the ball too. So it's not impossible. It's just harder to predict that, when you haven't seen it. You haven't even seen this team in the playoffs yet. Of course, nobody saw us in the playoffs either, and we went on to the Super Bowl. But we also had the number one seed, and we had 2 games at home, and all of a sudden, wait, what? We're in the Super Bowl? What just happened? Yeah.
So the Las Vegas Raiders, They have a pretty good quarterback in Derek Carr, too. You talked about their defensive ends. The duo there are pretty phenomenal. I'm trying to remember if you had did you have the Raiders in your Sunday night package this year at all?
Yeah, we had them just last week.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we just had them.
Yeah, that was a hell of what am I talking about? That was a hell of a game. So in your research, getting old, man, in your research leading up to it and in that football game that was a phenomenal football game, what do you think? I mean, what do the Bengals have to do to be able to control and contain the Raiders?
They can get after these guys up front. The Raiders' offensive line, they've got Colton Miller, who's a really good player at left tackle.
Yeah.
And outside of that, they really don't have. They started with Alex Leatherwood, who was playing the right tackle position. He got swamped, and Joey Bosa almost killed him in the first game. So they moved him inside to guard, and he's still getting beat inside. I think they'll attack him. Brandon Parker went out to the right tackle position. But really, other than Colton Miller, there's not a great player on that front. There just isn't. And of course, they've just lost so many guys, Henry Ruggs, John Gruden. You got to write down the list, of different guys that they missed. Josh Jacobs is a good player at the running back position. But if the Bengals can stop them from running the football, if they can just put the ball in Derek Carr's hands, and not that Derek Carr can't make plays, Darren Waller, he's got playmakers on the outside too. But if they can make them one-dimensional and really focus on rushing Derek Carr, they could get after him pretty good. And I tend to think they will. I think they're going to match up pretty well. Plus the raw emotion of playing on Sunday night and clinching the way they did in an overtime game and having to come right back, travel on the road, play on a Saturday. There's a lot working against this Raiders team right now. But they've won 4 in a row that they had to win them all to get in the playoffs. So you can't underestimate anybody who's won 4 in a row in this league.
So in my opinion, when I remember back to playing in the playoffs, there's definitely an uptick in the speed of the game, the tempo. I mean, you're on the Autobahn, man. It's fast out there. Did you experience that, Chris? Did you feel like it was another level in terms of speed of the game?
Yeah, because you're messing with people's money at this point. You got a bunch of old guys, and even though the money isn't what it is now,
right?
It still was. I mean, it's what you live for, right? I mean, 17 games in an NFL season. I don't care who you are. I mean, you're dying at the end of the season, and somehow it's like somebody put something negative about you on the bulletin board or something. You just find another level of juice in your body that you didn't even know existed. And if you don't, then you're going to get crushed by the guys that are coming out there. The other thing that I think the Bengals have to think about is that, and the officials will get really mad when I say this, but I do think it's true, that they let you play a little bit. And so what might have been holding may not be holding. What might have been pass interference may not be pass interference.
Great point.
So I think that you have to go, all right, I'm gonna push the envelope here at the beginning of the game because I don't want to get behind 14-0. If I get a couple fouls called, then I'll gear it back. But playing receiver, I'd be pushing off just a little bit more. I'd be doing just a little bit extra to see how far this officiating crew would be willing to let us go.
Well, that's a great point because I always felt that way, that the officials keep their flags in the pocket because, these are the best teams. They've advanced. They don't make mistakes. We don't need to penalize these guys. They're playing at the most efficient level, proficient level of any team in the NFL, and they do. I mean, the flags decrease. You're exactly right. It's crazy. If you had to pick a key or two, I'll get you out on this because I do appreciate you carving the time you carve because I don't think there's a busier man in all of sports than Cris Collinsworth is right now as the playoffs unfold for the National Football League. If you had to pick a couple of musts, a couple of keys for the Bengals to be successful, what would they be, CC?
Yeah, I think they have to win it on the outside in this game. They are better players than the cornerbacks, in my opinion, of the Raiders. They've got more speed. They've got more ways to win. I'm going to guess they'll probably go after Brandon Faison a little bit, number 35 on the Raiders. They've got a pretty good player in the slot, Nate Hobbs. He's a nice player. Casey Hayward is coming off, he was on the injury report, questionable with an ankle injury. So whether you want to challenge him or not, I just don't know. But somehow, some way, I'm not going to say the Bengals 2 tackles are going to have to get these edge blockers. They got to get them blocked. I don't know how you do it. I don't know if you're going to have to chip. I don't know. I have to put on a tight end in there. Maxx Crosby will never give up. He will never give up on a play. He'll get sacks where he loses in protection, where he's totally blocked and still get there. And Yannick and Ngakoue looked great to me in the game the other day. And he was going against a good one. He really was. And Slater on the other side for the Chargers. So this is, those are the 2 guys, or those are the 2 things right off the top for me that I would say. And probably, we hit on it earlier, but if they can stop Josh Jacobs and turn it into a pass rush game, I think the Bengals get him. The guy who can beat you by himself on the outside or wherever is Darren Waller, though. Darren Waller came back. He was off the COVID list. He's had some injuries. He had missed about 5 or 6 games in a row. I didn't think he looked like himself in the game the other night, but now he's going to be on his 2nd week after coming back. I think his wind will be a little better. Obviously, COVID's going to impact that some. I think he'll be in a little better game shape. He will have a game under his belt. And that's a guy that can beat you by himself. When he's right, he is a phenomenal player.
Well, they targeted him 8 times. He had 7 catches for like 116 yards against the Bengals in the regular season. I was stunned how he moved, how he ran routes, get in and out of cuts. A guy that size. I mean, he looked like a talented wide receiver to me, and not a big tight end. I mean, man, he was impressive to watch. He's something else.
He is good. And Carr is playing with house money at this point. Nobody expected the Raiders to be here. I mean, you think of what this team's been through this year. Yep. And as bad as the whole thing with John Gruden was, and certainly that was an upheaval. It got worse than that with Ruggs. I mean, you think about it, and he really was a sort of a beloved guy. I mean, everybody thought the world of him. And so, you're taking, one of the big personalities and one of the favorite guys off the team, but you're talking about death here. You're talking about torturous death, a guy driving his car 125 miles an hour or whatever it was, who's sitting in prison right now at a tender age, and the girl basically, burned up in her own car and her dog's in there. I mean, just think how horrendous all of that is. And you're trying to, you're just trying to put everything back together. And they went on an extended losing streak. I want to say they lost 5 out of 6 or something like that. And somehow that team put it back together, and they won 4 in a row, and they had to win every single one of them to get into the playoffs. But now they're kind of one of those teams you don't really want to mess with because they got nothing to lose. And for the Bengals, I think it would be a huge disappointment if they lost a playoff game at home after, where they've been, what they've done this season. They're rested. They essentially had a bye week for some of their key personnel to get them right to go into the playoffs. So I would anticipate the Bengals are legitimate favorites in this game. But the Raiders are a dangerous team just because they have nothing to lose. They're on a hot streak, and they got a hot quarterback. So, sometimes that can be tough to overcome too.
No doubt about it. I tip my cap to Rich Bisaccia, man. I mean, to do what he accomplished as an interim head coach and to have to deal with all the adversity that he had to face in his football team, man, that's pretty good leadership by the head coach right there.
Yeah, he just kind of, you know how the special teams guys are. I mean, hell, they got to beg you to play special teams anyway. So they're good negotiators. So he's just trying to let's corral the guys here, man. Let's get them back in the corral here. But they did, and they love him. They do. They love the guy. It's hard not to. He's a good, easygoing guy.
Well, certainly do. You're loved by everybody here in Cincinnati and all over the world, man, that are football fans, and rightfully so and deservedly so. And Cris Collinsworth, you're a special man. Appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for carving it for us.
Next time I do your show, I'll read you off some of my Twitter account. You'll find I'm not quite as loved as you think I am.
Oh, I'll tell you, man, the social media world's a different world now.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I always make fun of my kids. It's like, you don't even have to work to meet girls now, man. It's like they just they're on the phone. This is ridiculous. So. But yeah, they'll let you know what they think. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. You're the best.
You got it, Dave. Good talking to you, man.
Same here, Chris.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.